Hello everybody. I'm Paula Sontra, otherwise known as Healer Paula. I am a spiritual teacher and a shamanic practitioner, and here today to talk to you a little bit about overcoming unlimiting beliefs, or overcoming limiting beliefs in your business, kind of getting that to be unlimited. And what does that have to do with shamanism? And what does that have to do with me? What I typically do is I work with people who are along the sensitivity route of they've got senses, or maybe they are interested in developing their senses, or the people who are interested in becoming healers, and wanting to learn a little bit more about working with that. So I have a lot of students at different levels working along their spiritual path. I help people who are also kind of just starting out and don't really know, but there's an inkling, there's something that they want to know. Or there's dabblers. There's the ones that are looking at all the freebie information and dabbling all over the place and getting lost in a sea of information. So what does that have to do with speaking in front of a bunch of entrepreneurs? Well, we're kind of at all those stages too, right? We have those of us who are kind of like, I want to start a business. I want to work for myself. There's those of us who kind of like, I know what I can do, and I don't know how to get it out there. Or there's those of us like, I know I can get it out there, I just don't know what I want to do. And then there's those of us who have already done it and who are already working in a business and have figured a lot of things out and maybe even become successful. And we don't know, where to go to get to the next stage. And all of those stages, limiting beliefs can play a role in what we do next, or what we think we can do next. So we decide what we can and can't do based on these limiting beliefs, whether they're covertly or overtly believed, meaning you either know about them or you don't know about them. So what really is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is really a lie you tell yourself. So they're the ways that we distort ourselves. Because when we know the truth, belief isn't needed, right? So if we're able to know the full truth, then we don't need belief. So we oftentimes go into these beliefs. So limiting belief can be a way where I believe I can do it, right? And we're charging out, I believe I can do it. And we say it louder and louder, and we're trying to believe it so bad that we're not listening to the part of ourselves that goes, I don't believe I can do it, right? And it's all of those parts are all telling the truth, right? There's a part of you that believes you can do it, and you are telling the truth. And there's a part of you that doesn't believe you can do it, or whatever it is, whatever you discover in that, right? And those parts are also telling the truth. So if we can get to be willing to get to all those layers, to all of the layers of truth, then we don't really need belief. What we need is solutions, right? We need to know how to solve the problem of the part that doesn't believe it can do it. And oftentimes we don't really know how to do that. We end up in bully mode. And what do you mean bullying? I do positive affirmations, right? And to that part, that's like, no, you don't understand. I have all of this evidence I can't do it. You're like, just say we're going to get $1 million by the end of the week. Just say it, right? I can do it. I can do it, right? So we want to be gentle and kind to all of our parts. And we want to be able to be open to them so that they will speak to us. So that we can actually hear them, letting us know all of the different beliefs, because truth is all of it together, all of the beliefs. So oftentimes we don't know what to do with parts, and so we hide them in our shadow. We hide those beliefs we don't want to know about, and we maintain and expand the ones we do want to know about, and we start to distort ourselves, and we present these distorted parts of ourselves. But we actually want solutions. We want to know, how can I get successful? How can I be rich? How can I have 500 clients in 5 days. Not how do I believe it more strongly, but how do I know it more strongly, right? How do we get past all of this belief stuff? Well, first we have to be willing to know not only those lies we tell ourselves, but the lies that we don't tell ourselves that we're telling ourselves. And instead of judging ourselves, having that love and acceptance of those parts so that we can hear them speak. So what are the things in you that you're afraid to know, right? And why do we do that? Why do we lie? The truth is scary. These parts of us are scary. They're messy and they're uncomfortable. And emotions are involved, right? We got to feel stuff we don't want to feel, right? And that's okay. It's actually okay to feel stuff you don't want to feel. It's okay to be nervous or, want to cry right before you interact with a client or whatever. Things go wrong and things are not always perfect, but we've got to explore and experience all parts of ourselves. It's the facing the giant unknown, right? Because if we don't know how to solve the problem, we don't want to face the problem. That if we go into that problem and we know about it, now we're faced with, we've got to figure out what to do. But the things that you want the most, those things you're aiming for the most, the solutions are in the unknown, right? Nobody ever created something new by recreating everything they know. So if there's no such thing as a limiting belief, it's just lies and truths. Like, how do we overcome limiting beliefs? And why would I do a talk on limiting beliefs if it was all about that? Because as long as we're willing to feel our real feelings, all of them, if I ask you, how are you today? What's your answer? What's the first answer that arises right now? How are you today? Feel it coming out. Whether you say it out loud or say it inside, feel it coming out. Feel all the layers, all the truth in it, and all the layers that are like, oh, that's not actually true. I'm feeling all these other things, right? All of the wisdom you have in that one little word, just your answer right there. All the awareness of all those layers, right? And it's okay to feel all of them. You can feel happy and confident and, like you can do it all. And also feel like you can't. Because that whole totality is the truth. And the truth is your actual compass. Because if we're trying to avoid those parts that are uncomfortable, we will go, oh, okay, I'm going to set up my business and I'm going to have 5 figures in 5 months. And then I'm going to get to 6 figures in 12 months. And we create this context of what we want. But we limit what we want to what we think we can have. Because we don't want to go to those uncomfortable feelings. What if I was to tell you, like, oh, what if you could get to 7 figures in 5 months, right? It's going to either, no, that's not me. Or, yeah, I can do it. But what if all of those exist, right? What if we actually examined and explored it and looked at those parts and said, no, we can't do it. And we figured out, well, why can't I do it? What's wrong? What don't I know? And actually worked towards getting those things, right? So we want to be able to not lie to ourselves about what we're lying to ourselves about, and not just look at our goals as unlimited in terms of like, no, I have these good big goals. But what are the goals we're avoiding because we're afraid and because we don't want to know how we feel about them? And we don't want to face that part of like, oh God, I promised my family I was competent and I knew what I was doing. And, if I try to go for that, I'm going to seem crazy, So we have to stay away from the risks, not just the risks out there, but the risks of feeling things that are downright scary. So overcoming those limiting beliefs and really, really looking at what do I want to create? Not because my beliefs are telling me I have to go for that, but because I want them. And again, it's not about like trying to be the biggest. It's about aiming for the size you want, not because you're afraid of the sizes. But because you have choice, real choice, because you have the whole truth of what you're capable of, which is anything, right? And what you're not capable of, because there's parts that aren't ready for it yet, and that you have to do work to become capable of it. You can do anything, but it takes time to gain that capability, right? So it's like, it doesn't have to be all either or. Right now, I'm either capable or I'm not. What do I need to get capable of? So if you like what you feel, do more of that. But if you don't like it, don't run. Change yourself. Get better at those things until you do like it. And you will have more choices. You will have more options. And you will have better access to who you really are. So if you're somebody like, I don't even know what business I want to run yet, the key might be discovering the parts of yourself that you're afraid of. So, you know, one of the things I love the most about my job is I love teaching people. I absolutely love it. It's so fun. When I was a teenager, one of the things I said the most is, I could never teach people. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to deal with people who don't know anything, right? Like, I know it, they don't, I don't get it, right? And I struggled with that. And talking in front of people, oh my God, nope, that's not me. I'm gonna be the one who does this thing over here that looks safe. And I had big dreams in that safe area. Big dreams. But, you know, I'm not limiting myself. Look at this big dream. See, I'm not limiting myself. But right, what are the limiting beliefs that are keeping me from exploring even more? And it wasn't until my adulthood that I found the part of me that actually was really good at teaching. And when I found that part, I was surprised, because it showed up as a side effect of a job I had that I felt competent at. I did accounting for 20 years. And in accounting, I could hide in my cubicle and play with numbers and not really be good at talking to people. And I could just be logical, and I could just do my work and set my hours. And I had to work with clients. Yes, I worked for a CPA firm, and I would have to go out and help them with their books, or help them here, help them there. And occasionally I would have to go help a bookkeeper understand their books better, because I would have a client who had a low-skilled worker trying to learn better, and they'd bring in the CPA firm's bookkeeper to help train them. I started helping people in that way, and found out that most of the time, what I was helping people find was themselves and their competence with the software that they didn't even have. And I loved that part. But I wouldn't have discovered it had I not been led to do something outside of my comfort zone because of a job forcing me to, right? So if we go into those things that we don't like, and we begin to explore and do more of it and change ourselves within it, we might actually find that one thing, I don't know what I want to do. And yet it might be somewhere where you're not looking. And then maybe you do know what you want to do. Maybe you have your business all figured out. Some of you here are, you know, some of the speakers here. And you've already figured it all out, and you've got that, and you've got your distribution down and whatnot, and you just want to grow. Or maybe you know what you want to do, and you're at that point where, like, I'm ready, marketing, you know, sales, business, I've got all these pieces, but, you know, there's this piece over here. If I could just avoid the sales calls, I know I'll create an online funnel and I don't have to talk to people. I've heard such things, right? And then, you know, somebody else will tell you, well, you have to talk to people, and those funnels are no good. It's like, oh, well, what's the truth, right? We can't know the truth if we're afraid of our feelings. So we've got to figure out how to get in there and explore all the parts of business, all the parts that we're afraid of, and make all of them options for us, so that we can turn the business into the business we really dream of, and not just the business we fit in the box of what we're allowed to dream of, right? And just because we're big dreamers, just because, well, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm already a big dreamer, I don't need to dream bigger, right? Except for, how do you know? You can't know what you don't know if you're not looking. So how do you get to this point where you transcend belief and get to know? You know, you got to feel your feelings. You got to know how you feel, and then not run from them, okay? And then you will transcend belief and know. And you won't have big dreams to make $1 million or have like even 8-figure business or anything big and crazy. And it won't matter what your friends think. It won't matter what your family thinks, because you'll absolutely know whether you can do it or not. You won't need anyone to tell you otherwise. And they won't be able to tell you otherwise. You'll just look at them and go, you don't have vision. Okay. And you'll go back to your thing, right? So how do we get to that point? And some of the things that's interesting is the 3 things that I tell my students to be successful in shamanism when they're trying to learn their senses and trying to develop, how do I do this work? Because there's a lot of doubt about their ability to read people, and they want to be sure before they give an answer, all these things. And how do I help them find success? The same 3 things I tell them is relevant to anyone in business. And that's number one is you need competence. You need to know you can do it. If you know you can do it, you won't be worried about whether you believe in yourself. You won't be worried about whether you believe you can do it. You won't be having that debate in your head. The energy of that debate is taking up a lot of energy, right? We want to take that energy back and put it into action, into the doing, because you know you can do it, right? So competence, building competence. What builds competence? How do we get to competence, right? Because if people talk about confidence, you just need to be confident. Yeah. What gives you confidence is competence. If you know what you're doing, you're not worried about whether you can do it or not. So you have the confidence. So how do you get confidence? 2 things. You need to practice, right? What great master out there didn't practice? You know, a piano player on the stage, playing in front of an audience, a singer, whatever. An artist with the greatest art. They practice over and over and over again and get better and better and better and better. You have a wonderful skill set. Your business is your performance. Do you practice your skill set? And if you're somebody who's trying to figure out what you want in business, you know, where are you competent, or where do you want to be competent? Look to those spheres. Look to your strengths. Build them both. Build them both. Your strengths are going to build automatically because you're interested in spending time with them. Your weaknesses are going to be avoided unless you really force yourself to spend time with them. If you build them, you kind of decrease your weakness pool, and you have a lot of strength to go towards your competence and a lot of ability, right? And if you practice those things you're terrible at, confidence happens. It's just hard because we tend to want to practice the things we're really good at. So if you're in business and you're like, oh, I'm really good at the sales call. I just like talking to people and it's great and that goes really well. But oh my God, my books are a mess. I haven't done it for months, right? I can't learn numbers. I can't do it, right? I'm bouncing checks left and right, but I can talk to people, right? You can learn it, but you'd have to want to spend energy focused on what do I need to learn here. And if you're the other way around, you know, perhaps I'm really good at keeping my pages organized and putting things into bullet points and like doing my numbers. I'm really good at setting up my website all beautiful, getting the copy on there. But oh my gosh, when I go to talk to somebody, I don't know how to sell, right? I don't know. The selling part scares me. It's icky. I don't like it, right? So you need practice. It's just practice. If you practice enough, you will get competent. You don't need confidence, you need competence. Practice. Get it wrong. Learn from your mistakes. Get it right. Learn from your correctness. In fact, get it wrong and learn from what you got right and wrong. Because remember, both is happening at the same time, right? Just like, how are you? You know, I'm fine. There's good and bad in that. There's truth and lies in that, right? You cannot say everything went all bad or everything went all good. There's pieces, right? You have pieces you can learn from. And within those pieces is the nuggets of wisdom. It doesn't matter if you failed or succeeded. All the nuggets of wisdom are in it. And so if you get those nuggets of wisdom, then you'll have that the next time. Then you practice again. You get the nuggets again. So practice, practice, practice. And you will get the competence. And you will not need belief. Okay? Also, learning. Being honest with yourself. Okay, I want to do this thing. I've practiced what I know. I'm getting stuck. I need to learn more, right? Turning to others. getting the lessons you need. Now you're still the one in charge. You're not turning yourself over to others and saying, tell me all the things and lead me all the ways and I'll just copy you. You're building your competence. You're not looking to abdicate your throne, but you're taking the pieces. Okay, I need this piece. This person seems to already have the competence. I'm going to turn over a bit and get some mastery. And I'm going to practice with it until I master it my way. But I still need to get some mastery from somebody else. So learning, getting a teacher in whatever form that is. And believe me, anyone can be a teacher, even a 4-year-old. And sometimes they have the greatest wisdom. And then there's the, well, how do I know what I don't know? How do I know what to search for if I don't know I want? And that's where your feelings are going to be super important. Has anyone ever felt jealous? If anyone's here felt jealous, I'm going to tell you guys a good gift. Jealousy is a gift. It's a massive, massive gift, because that emotion right there tells you what you really want and what you think or believe you cannot have. Jealousy tells you a limiting belief. It takes you right to it. If you really want it and you're jealous that somebody else has it, it just means it's meant for you and you got to find the blocks and clear them. Does it make sense? So don't be afraid of your negative emotions. They're messengers, right? They're messengers. They'll tell you what you're afraid of. And then you get to bring truth to that and start building. Oh, okay. If I'm jealous of that person over there, maybe that's because I want some of that in my business. It's up for you to explore each and every time, because it could be different every time. But it's a clue. So see what's out there that activates in here, and then go learn it. Thank you.